to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. Thursday, April 2nd. Mike Wright, Jason Moore, Andy Holloway, the Fantasy Footballers, back with you once again. Part 2 of our rookie preview episodes, diving into the wide receiver position today and a couple tight ends. Actually, how many tight ends are we going to talk about? Okay, just 2.
Mm-hmm. I thought you held up one finger. I was like, that's...
Well,
nope.
Be careful with that.
I think we could go. I mean, on today's episode, we're going to talk about 2, but I think there's a handful of interesting tight ends in this class.
There's 2 guys who will be drafted.
Yes, there's 2 important fantasy impact potential tight ends that are obvious.
We will get into some NFL news as well, some mailbag if we have time for it. We want to put the call out first. We are doing our annual shout-out, searching for new writers to join the Fantasy Footballers writing staff. Please submit a writing sample at footclanhelp.com. We will only mention it here right now.
Yep, this is it.
This is the one time we mention it. Even when we mention it just once, we normally receive anywhere from 500 to 1,000 applications. So be patient with our team when it comes to responding. Kyle wants to make sure everybody knows. Kyle's our editor-in-chief, the Borg Gogan. Everyone will receive an email back to their application to become a staff writer for the Fantasy Footballers. More information can be found at footclanhelp.com. And, we just want people with, their own voice, their own passion for the game of fantasy football to come and join the writing team. It is an awesome group of writers. We're so thankful to have the people that we do. And Kyle and Julia head that up for our editorial team. So we have great people, and we want to add a couple more great people to it.
Yep, and know that if you email in, and you're like, oh, guys, I missed the thing. What was the address? We take your IP. Mm-hmm. You're blocked.
Banned.
You're blocked.
You can't even get to our website at that point. So please don't do it. And we know, because look, our writers genuinely are great. Our writers are great. And we know if you do that, you're not great. You therefore cannot be one of our writers.
Oh, and then the ban.
That is a prerequisite for writing for us, is that you're great.
It's tough, but it's fair. So.
All right, no quick question of the day. We're going to jump right into some news.
News and notes from around the league.
Well, the quotes are coming hot and heavy from head coach Aaron Glenn in New York. First, he said, and we didn't get to talk about it, but Geno Smith's going to lead them to, quote, the promised land. And then now we have a quote from Aaron Glenn saying he expects Meowson Taylor himself to make a big step up and anticipates, quote, a hell of a year.
Okay. I
still like Mason Taylor. You guys know this. I like the bit, but I like Mason Taylor. I think he's an actually talented.
I have no problem with it. I do. He is a talented player. Not every tight end is a dog. And not every good, productive tight end is a dog. We just prefer it that way.
Yeah. You want someone to mow someone over, not meow someone on the ground.
So a big year. Like a broken tackle?
The team has
take it easy,
glaring lack of targets. And Geno Smith will throw the football more than Justin Fields was throwing the football.
Yep.
So from a PPR, Dennis Pitta, one hip quitta, that's what I'm expecting from Meowson Taylor. Just catch the football when it's thrown to you.
Yeah. Talk about the PPR scam. Dennis Pitta back in the day.
Man. Shout out to the old timers on that one. Joe Brady also said Dalton Kincaid may need to be managed throughout the 2026
What is wrong with your body?
Season. Yeah, Jason famously said that about CMC once upon a time. What is wrong with your body? But Dalton Kincaid,
Seriously.
enough years have gone by where he is just always hurt. Always. He's either 10 out of 10 hurt or 5 out of 10
The
hurt.
quotes are coming out saying, yeah, we know next year he's going to be banged
That's
up.
insane.
Dude, we haven't started playing this. He's like, yeah, we're going to have to manage him next year.
We know by week 3.
We know.
We know.
We picked up the 5th-year option, but we're going to really take it easy.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, you want somebody to be able to be utilized more often. This is the 3rd time I've seen news about Jordyn James. If you don't know who that is, it's a running back for the San Francisco 49ers. I don't know who has him in Dynasty, but
when you
What
picked
a
him,
flex.
No, legit. When you picked him up, I was like, I didn't realize he was out there.
well, he was only out there, Mike, because I had drafted him and dropped
you
him.
had cut him?
But this is Jordyn James, running back for the San Francisco 49ers. He was hurt last year, didn't have an opportunity to contribute. He appears to be the front runner to be the backup in 2026.
Which is a fun phrase. He appears to be a front runner for the backup.
Yes.
Well, as in,
which is normally a role heavily utilized in San Francisco.
yeah, you want to pay attention to whoever the clear backup is. I mean, we're just, a couple years removed from when you thought it was going to be Elijah Mitchell. And then if you paid attention to, I think Mitchell also got hurt, but like even before his injury, there was these blurbs like this coming out of like, the team has really gotten more and more secure with Jordan Mason being their guy. He was on waiver wire. He was on ours.
They like a good Jordan
on our
running
dynasty
back.
waiver wire. And then when McCaffrey wasn't playing, Jordan Mason was great for San Francisco. So this is important. It's more of like, okay, it's probably not Isaac Guerrero, who I think up in with Brian Robinson leaving, you thought maybe it goes back to being Guerrero. So it's just something to pay attention to. Right now, the most smoke is in favor of Jordyn James.
And a spectacular quote from head coach Mike
Yes.
McCarthy of the
Jason.
Steelers. This one on Caleb Johnson. Quote, I am aware of their past experiences, but this is like a Catholic operation. You say 3 Hail Marys and everybody has a clean slate and let's go to work. I do find it haunting that he says he's aware of their past experiences.
Yeah.
As though the team has like overt experience with Caleb. But
Well, he put the tape on. He saw the couple snaps.
yeah. So there you go. Do you like the 3 Hail Mary approach to? You want to my guy this dude?
No, I literally don't know who this is.
Okay.
I am.
All right.
I am
You've never
unsure.
heard of this
Never
player.
heard of K.
He's
Johnson.
a deep depth play
Caleb?
for Caleb?
Yeah, Caleb.
Caleb
I think you're saying.
Johnson?
Yeah, I think you were saying it wrong. Caleb.
Janssen.
Yeah.
Johnson.
Say more than 3 Hail Marys, Caleb.
It's going to take more than that. That is it by way of news. A reminder, the NFL draft coming up later this month. We are into April. We're going to do some fun stuff around the draft by way of giveaways. I think maybe some of those fantasy footballers signed card sets may make an appearance.
What?
We've got autographed jerseys we're going to give away this month and some draft-related stuff going on. Obviously, all of the Dynasty Pass and Ultimate Draft Kit stuff can be found at ultimatedraftkit.com. You want to dive in there and get prepped up. That's what this week is all about, getting you ready for the draft. Let's get into the rookies.
Hey, rookie. Welcome to the NFL.
Well, we talked quarterback and running backs on Tuesday's episode.
There's people out there that like Ty Simpson.
Yeah, we did talk about Ty Simpson as well. We talked through a handful of running backs, including Jardiance or whatever you call him.
Jardians.
And today it's exciting. We get to talk about the wide receiver position this year, which of all the groups I think we're most excited about.
Yeah, I mean, this is every year you come into the draft and you get told, for us that aren't, we're not grinding college tape during the college season. We come to this afterwards, and it is clear and obvious going into each new cycle what position or positions, where the fruit is in this class. And this is a wide receiver heavy class. There are 3 theoretical studs up in kind of not necessarily an S tier like a Jamar Chase, but really high quality, immediate fantasy impact players. And then there are a whole lot of quality NFL wide receivers. Now, the question as to whether or not that type of player really makes an impact in fantasy or whether it's just great for the NFL and, being able to have some capable receivers, that'll be to be determined.
And we have all, like on the last episode we mentioned it, we're not going through with some consensus ranking today, right?
No, the order of the operations of today, the list of players will come from NFL Mock Draft Database, which is, we'll give them another shout out. It's a great site. You keep track of, it's kind of like a what's the word? Not conglomerate. What am I thinking of?
Rhinoceros.
Don't help him. Is it rhinoceros?
It's a
rhinoceros.
It's an elephant of a site.
There it is. Man, you did lead him
I
there.
helped him.
You did.
That's what he was going for.
Aggregate.
I thought it was rhinoceros.
Where they get all the mock drafts in. And it's like, it is important information to see how people are trending. Like, do guys come out of nowhere? Because frequently when a player comes out of nowhere, they stay there. Like they become something for a moment. You're like, oh, there's a reason you came out of nowhere because you didn't belong to be here.
Well said.
You didn't belong to be here, as they say. I'm going to mention some wide receiver needy opportunities, teams with picks and the chance that they could go after some of the big names. I just want to get your quick reaction to some of the potential destinations because we're going to start putting, these mock drafts, they put names to teams. And, obviously we know Mendoza's going to the Raiders. They have Bowers and Genty. They've got the 36th pick in the second round, so really high pick in the second round. They've got a third-round pick beyond that. They need a wide receiver. The Jets drafting at 2 and 16.
Yeah, it's
33 and 44. It seems like one of these wide receivers is going there.
Terribly scary, and whoever you don't like the Jets and the Browns are the two teams that desperately need wide receivers, have a ton of capital, and will take a wide receiver. You're just hoping it's the prospect you don't like.
Yeah, the Jets, the Browns, and then Miami, those are Miami now having lost Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Darren Waller. They have 11, 30, 43, and 4 third-rounders. Miami's going to have multiple new wide receivers on this team. And then other teams to watch out for. What do the Saints do? They've had to deal with Olave's injuries over the year. They definitely need somebody beyond him. They have picks 8 and 42. 8 is a prime spot for maybe one of the big names. Washington at 7. Baltimore at 14 and 45. Maybe less of an option there. And then do the Giants try to add somebody? We talked about the running backs, and the Giants probably not drafting a running back. We don't think they'll draft a running back, but 5 could be a prime spot or a place to trade down a little bit and grab a big name.
Could be.
Mike, did you have a team or two that you think, like, are you super afraid of any of these?
I mean, I think the Jets, it's going to be the usual suspects. It's the Jets and the Browns. I think if I'm trying to spin a tale of glass half full for the Jets, it would be if your guy goes to the Jets, just know next year it will be a completely clean house in terms of the coaching staff. They'll probably have a top pick in a very quarterback-friendly draft. So maybe you're going to have to wait some time if one of the studs goes there. But there is a chance it gets better in 2 years.
Now do the Browns. This year right now,
I can tell you that as of right now, the only quarterback putting in the work is Shedeur.
I believe he changed his number.
He did.
He
went back to number 2. But no,
we're good.
Did you not? There was a report from that Monken has connected with Watson. They've talked a little bit. Shedeur is he's here every day. He's working, and Dylan Gabriel is not here.
What a small little blip that career is going to have.
Because he knows. He's like, I'm not wasting my time.
Chance.
I'm just going to collect this check for the next couple years, and then I will be gone.
As of right now, on the NFL Mock Draft database, the Rhinoceros site, there are 6 wide receivers currently slated in the first round.
6.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not getting 6.
You could. I mean, right now, obviously when people are putting out their mock drafts, sometimes the skill position players get bumped up in there that they don't in the NFL, but that's the point of, like, when looking at this year,
I think
running backs are weak.
3 are guaranteed, and then I would say probably 4 or 5, at least one more after the big 3. Let's start there. Carnell Tate Jr. from Ohio State. is the first name we're going to talk about. 6'2", 192. 5-star recruit coming out of high school. Dynamic playmaker. You know, when you look at him and like Makai Lemon, you know, he has the size advantage over Makai Lemon. Carnell Tate is number 3 on Jason's pre-draft rookie rankings at wide receiver, number 2 on Mike and I's.
They're flipping all over the place. Honestly, these 3 guys for me have just and Carnell Tate, this one's pretty easy. He's from Ohio State. They have just been blessing the NFL with very talented wide receivers, even the ones where you're like, hey, Marvin Harrison Jr., it feels like a catastrophe. His rookie year, he had 800 yards and 8 touchdowns. Like it hasn't worked for our purposes, but for the NFL, Ohio is giving out awesome players. He will be the 5th consecutive Buckeye wide receiver drafted in round 1. And
wide receiver
and that will continue again next year. So he is a tremendous player. The thing that's hard to reconcile for fantasy football is he wasn't a true target dominator.
Mm-hmm.
The way that we have that, like JSN's year before he got hurt, like we want to see those types of things. Like for a production profile threshold for the wide receiver position, we want to see for a player who's going to like truly dominate in the NFL, you want to see about 31% of that team's receptions go to that player, or more, of course. And Tate was down at 21% for a player who's going to go as early as he will. I think that Tate will be he'll be the first wide receiver that goes in this draft. I don't know that he's the best for fantasy football purposes, but
you have a concern that he'll come in and be not a dominator at the NFL level, but just a solid wide receiver.
When you're looking at these 3 players, which they're all pretty different, so it's kind of like you can kind of pick your type, your archetype of player that you like, because the way that Carnell Tate plays and Makai Lemon plays, they're very different. But you know, when you're picking at the top of your rookie draft and you're trying to make a decision other than destination, because all 3 of these guys are going to have very early first-round draft capital, you look and go, man, why wasn't he commanding more receptions?
This would be the lowest target per route run percentage over the last decade for a top 10 pick if he goes in the top 10.
And he's
very polished.
He is a great player.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to cast any shade or doubt upon him and his career for the NFL. We're trying to find an advantage of these 3 players.
Yeah. I've got him as my 3rd of the big 3. Currently pre-NFL draft, obviously that can get shuffled around later, but it's not saying he's not very good. I loved Ladd McConkey coming out despite him having a bad production profile, because you said, well, he was playing with Brock Bowers.
Right.
This is that situation. He's playing with, we say that this year doesn't have a Jamar Chase, doesn't have one of those like the elite of the elite. Next year does.
Yes.
And he's currently playing on Carnell Tate's team. Yep. So you forgive some of that production.
Yeah, one of the high-end comps that Kyle jotted down was the ball skills of T. Higgins, route running of Calvin Ridley. The big question is, can he be that alpha in the NFL? Is there a best fit from those teams we named earlier in your mind where you would get excited about Carnell Tate arriving in camp? Is it what if it was New Orleans? Let's put it that way.
I'd be pretty excited.
8 for Tate seems great.
Nice.
That's right.
I liked it. I think the Saints actually that could work out where Olave is, can dominate some intermediate stuff and have Tate come in and for at least for the team wise is like, hey, you had Rashid Shaheed, replace that type of player. You want him, but you want him to be better than Rashid Shaheed for fantasy football when you're spending the 102 to 104 on him.
He has met with Tennessee, Washington, Cleveland so far. Washington definitely needs another pass catching option.
Yes.
So them at 7 is interesting.
That would be the most exciting spot for me. He is most commonly mocked to the Browns at 6, which I don't know if that'll happen or not, but that would stink.
Well, we're going to take a quick break and come back to talk more rookie wide receivers. All right, time to get into another rookie wide receiver. Let's talk Makai Lemon coming out of USC. a junior. He is
The snake.
Oh, is it you talking about the press conference? Makai Lemon, 5'11", guys, 5'11". He fits the smaller wide receiver profile that we've seen have more and more success at the NFL level.
Jason's height?
No, we're not.
5'11"?
No.
Yeah,
No,
we are.
I'm so glad you
I
brought that up.
I thought we locked
I
this
can't
thing
believe-
in.
He may never. He's done. He's done.
That was on the main show, right?
That was on the main. It was
I am
probably- It was a height fight.
All right.
So listen, guys, we went.
Oh
to
my
the,
gosh, this is
Listen.
nonsense.
We went. Al,
This is
you were there.
nonsense.
You were there with the
So,
tape measure. Shoes off
So
against the wall.
Here's what had to happen if you missed it.
I'm out of here.
We were having
Jason,
the
I can
conversation
feel it.
about guys that are 6 feet or taller, and then guys who are 5'11". Frequently, if you're 5'11", I'm 6 feet,
Which I don't do because I am 5'11".
And Jason was declaring how proud he was to be in the crew. He's like, "No, I am legit 5'11", but I don't round up. I tell people I'm 5'11", and then we just kept going. And I went, "Wait, Jay, are you actually 5'11", or is this just a ruse?"
Jason has been getting us for years with this whole.
We had
I take the
immediately
noble
look,
approach of not being 6 foot.
Immediately when you're like, well, let's measure you. Did I hesitate?
No,
for
you
one?
did
I'm
not.
like,
No, you had some confidence.
great.
Yeah.
Shoes off. Let's go because I'm 5'11". We measured and it came out
Why?
5'10" and a half.
A little bit under a half.
Yeah, it more like 5'10" and a quarter.
No, it was not.
It's 5'10" and 3/8.
3/8. Okay.
Oh, come on. You
We can give him the half.
But no.
Yeah, we can round up to the half.
He has to round down.
Oh man, this is ridiculous.
I mean, if you reshape your entire life with a 5'10" mentality, how does that go?
I'm shrinking. I'm shrinking, guys.
Is that what it was? You were 5?
I was 5'11". I'm shrinking.
Okay.
They're not making tape measures like they used to.
Or you're not marking the wall spot appropriately.
Existing regulation
We
or
used
what?
a square.
You can still move that up and down.
It was.
We got one of those things on the wall where we mark it every year, but over the last couple of years, it's gone down.
Well, Jason,
Anyways, me
handshake,
and Makai
Makai
Lemon,
Lemon. Yeah.
5'11".
He was the Biletnikoff winner. Massive production, 1,156 yards, 11 touchdowns in his junior season.
He's awesome.
I love.
He is
Makai Lemon.
absolutely awesome.
Dog mentality.
I liked Makai Lemon, and I'm all in, man. I think he is going to be great. He production dominator at USC. We love to see that across the board. Receptions, yards, touchdowns, dominator rating, and he's not just a slot wide receiver. He can play on the outside. He's not a prototypical X, but I think in today's NFL he can work very, very well.
He's very well-rounded, good route runner, great hands, tough as nails. He's one of the I feel like it's a much more rare trait to watch wide receivers that are hard to tackle. That's not even a skill set you need at wide receiver anymore. Most of the time when you're hard to tackle, it's because you're gigantic. You're DK Metcalf or AJ Brown, where it's like, yeah, it's hard to tackle
Mike
those
Evans
guys.
yards after catch.
Yeah, but that's not Makai Lemon. Makai Lemon is 5'11", under 200 pounds, and he's still just like he's hitting people.
He's a dog.
He's definitely a dog.
Not everybody is Amon-Ra. Not everybody is Jordyn Tate. That would be the hopeful comparisons that you get from Makai Lemon. The one thing that kind of stands out to me that maybe has a little bit of concern, you look at breakout age, it's something we pay attention to. His was a little bit older.
Which sucks. For wide receivers, that is a
you don't want to hear what I'm going to
statistic. Yeah,
I mean, the first-round wide receivers since 2015 that have later breakout ages than Lemon, there's not a lot of them because his was pretty late. But it's Kadarius Toney. Okay, not great. For a minute.
First round wide receiver,
Xavier
right?
Legette.
Well, these are all first round.
First round. Oh, no.
Kelvin Benjamin,
you're right.
Henry Ruggs.
that's the
that
stat
was
we're
the
reading.
stat.
The best two were Waddle and Ayuk.
Yeah, so
But
I mean,
Legette,
it's not
Benjamin, Ruggs, and Toney were the others.
Kelvin Benjamin had a great rookie year.
it's not a death knell of a stat, but it is breakout age is extremely important for wide receivers. When they break out later, it is usually a red flag. However, even when we were scouting these players. Like Kadarius Toney, when he was drafted in the first round, I was like, what are you doing? He's not a first-round talent. Xavier Legette, his late breakout age, he was 48 years old after going to school for 20 years. That was another one that's like, what? Makai Lemon is better than those players coming out of college.
Yeah, I don't know what to believe. Again, it's going to come down to these, you take the talent and the output of these players at the collegiate level, what teams believe about them, and then do you have a shot with some of these quarterbacks at the top of the draft? Makai Lemon could be one of those guys, I think, that maybe slips a little bit further than some of these teams we're most afraid of.
I think he might go in front of Tyson.
Oh, he'll go. I think he will go in front of Tyson.
We'll get into Tyson. People have concerns about injuries with Jordyn Tyson.
It was funny when the combine was happening and the interviews were going on. If you don't remember or didn't see, Makai Lemon had the weirdest interviews.
Yeah,
the weirdest press conference. Just looked weird, acted
it was
weird.
Bath salt level.
I mean, super weird. And then it starts.
Maybe that's too much.
And then I don't think it's that much too much.
He wasn't running nude down the streets of Miami.
But
yet
there were reports coming out that some of the team interviews were like he bombed his interviews, and that teams were like taking him off their board. So I don't know how truthful that is, how sticky that was.
Or moving him up the board.
So yeah, I know. It's like, oh, he bombed my interview. Oh,
I would never draft him. You should never draft him. What are you picking? What spot in front of us?
One of the points I'm making, though, is like, so most recent mock draft that I'm seeing right now has Carnell Tate going as the highest guy, and it's Cleveland, right?
It's always that's a lazy one.
And then, but then like what I'm saying about Makai Lemon dipping is like, okay, 11 to Miami. I really like that destination. Miami, whoever is drafted by them, and they can take the pick, they're walking in as the alpha.
Mm-hmm.
They just come in the front door as the alpha. So 11 to Miami would be great. In this case, they had Jordyn Tyson at 13 to the Rams. But if you flip-flop those, let's say Miami fell in love with Jordyn Tyson, and then Makai Lemon's a Ram. Like you're talking about a bright future. If you go to one of those teams that's not at the bottom.
The Rams are where I've got him currently kind of penciled in.
16. The Jets have the pick at 16 too, which, that might be their first offensive pick. If one of those three guys is at 16, they're gone.
That's an interesting philosophical question of, okay, so let's say Lemon goes to the Rams and Tyson goes to Miami. You're like, do you want immediate target share
or eventual
or
domination?
Do you want someone who is the wide receiver 3 at best for the entirety of the year unless Devontae Adams gets hurt?
That's a brutal one because Puka's going to sign a long-term deal barring more bath salts for Puka.
But I'm saying, like, this year, it will be Puka and Adams. Like, yes. Adams won't. Adams isn't long for the team. Did you guys see the note they were
pretty open and honest
internally
with him.
about? They were like, well, they might have traded him last year. They thought about it, and then they changed their minds.
About trading who?
Adams.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not see that.
And then they were in on A.J. Brown in discussions. They're in on all of these draft opportunities.
You would have to wait on Lemon to be the dominator.
Yeah, it's weird because the Rams are where you want to be, and it seems like they have things figured out at wide receiver, but it also they might not. Because Adams is going to be gone soon, and Puka stay with us.
I view the Rams as a good destination. Hook me up with Sean McVay.
Yeah.
And I know you're going to have a top half offense moving
and
forward.
Some toffee.
So that's a win to me.
Jordyn Tyson. He is my number one wide receiver. Breakout age was 18. He's 6'2", 203. He is dealt with injuries. Last year he only played in 9 games at ASU. Dealt with injuries the year before and missed, I believe, the Texas if not the entire game, I think he missed the entire game against Texas in the college football playoff that went down to the wire that Scadaboo took over. To me, he's the most versatile and skilled wide receiver of this class. I've got to watch more of him than I have the other guys over the last few years. But like I said, he was 1,110 as a junior, injured last year, played 9 games, 7-11 and 8. To me, he has it. He has the type of it factor that I saw from Justin Jefferson immediately in terms of his body moves differently than other wide receivers.
Oh, his body control is awesome for a guy his size. When you're 6'2", 200 pounds, and you can do in the air what he does, it's just a thing of beauty. He's all three of our wide receiver one. He is third on this list today because he's usually not the number one being drafted. But coming at it from a fantasy football perspective, it's tough to know for sure if Carnell Tate can be the true alpha target share dominator in the NFL since he wasn't on his team in college. But Jordyn Tyson was his team's alpha, and he should be drafted to be that type of player, a bigger guy that can be used around the end zone and can have a 28% target share in the NFL. So that projection is probably why I'm guessing all three of us have him currently listed as the wide receiver one, but he's not without concerns. He did not have a lot of missed tackles forced. The injury history.
The injury history, contested catches is not an area he particularly like. He's not elite at that, and he's 6'2", 200, which you at 6'2", you wanted to put on a little bit more weight, which he definitely can.
Tate's listed 6'2", 192.
Right.
Yeah, both of those guys
but I'm
could
saying,
put
like,
on a few.
And Tyson, though, when it comes to like press coverage, he's wild, man, because he can off the line. He has some particular moves off the line where he just makes defenders look ridiculous as they end up in a different area code and he ends up wide open. But if they can get their hands on him, it can be tougher for Tyson. So he needs to improve at things. But Jason, you said it well. We're looking from fantasy football. If all three of these guys hit, I think Tyson's archetype is the biggest hit for fantasy.
That's about where I'm at. I mean, CeeDee Lamb vibes a little bit. Devontae Smith, but with 30 more pounds, vibes a little bit. He's very slippery. I mean, I think that's the way that I watched a lot of his routes at ASU, and it was like getting in and out of breaks in a different way than other receivers do it. So whether those injury fears impact the draft class, I mean, that mock draft I just looked at, it was Tyson to the Rams. It was the good destination that Jason talked about. So those are the big three names that we know are going within probably the first 15 picks of this draft.
Yeah, I mean, once you get past the top 15, they will be saying on the broadcast that this player is slipping and he's a good value, is the highest player left on the board type of
if
commentary.
Any of those three you're saying, yeah. Who's our next name? Omar Cooper Jr.?
Yep.
All right, junior out of Indiana. So Mendoza, national title, winning wide receiver. Talk to me about the things you saw from him. 13 touchdowns during that run to the championship, under 1,000 yards. So his yards per catch a little lower than a couple of the guys above, but great at forced missed tackles.
Yeah, that's
great at it.
That's just the calling card. He's good against zone coverage, and he's when you get the ball in his hands, he makes people. He can make people miss. He can absorb contact. Like he is he's a very solid player, and But that's my question for him is will he just be solid? Because when you're that type of player, the comps that people are throwing out for Omar of like the hope is like, hey, Debo.
Mm-hmm.
But putting the name of Debo Samuel on anyone is just
unfair.
It's not a fair expectation because.
What about DJ Moore?
I think that is the actual hope of play style that I think he could get to. He is not as good a wide receiver.
Yes.
He's not as good a wide receiver coming out as DJ Moore was.
I
actually think Luther Burden is a pretty good comp because when I watched Luther Burden, what was so awesome about Luther Burden was once he had the ball in his hands, he was absolutely electric, and I wasn't as confident in his full route tree and just the actual wide receiver package coming out of college. That's kind of how I feel about Omar Cooper Jr. You watched this last year, and they were like, we've got to get the ball in this guy's hands. And so many of his plays
28% screens
were screens, but 28% were screens. There were so many plays that were 3-4 yards down the field, where it's like act like you're running a 9 and then stop. And I don't know if those go in.
Yeah, 70% out route. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, so between the two, you're up over 4 in the 50%
and so that
range.
concerns me. For is he ready to come in as a fully developed, perfect wide receiver? Daniel Jeremiah has him as his 18th ranked player overall. That is above Jordyn Tyson at 21 right now. So he loves him, and I will say there is a lot to like about him. Personally, I've got a few worries simply because of how much of it was just kind of manufactured touches versus him getting open, creating separation. It was like all deep or short, and I like the middle of the field stuff. If you're going to really dominate in the NFL, you've got to be a possession guy that's going 15 yards down the field, getting open and catching that. And that's just not where – it's not saying he can't do it, but he didn't do that as much.
He's one of the later risers. And I think there was some questions about, is he going to go into the draft? I can't remember exactly what happened there. But he was trending as a third-round pick on mock draft database in January, and now he's up into like near the middle of the first round.
Omar Cooper has been flying high in mock drafts and big boards and those type of things. He is certainly
I wonder
trending upwards.
I wonder if the mock drafters got some info.
I like when I watched, and this isn't anything against Omar Cooper Jr., but Elijah Surratt, I liked him better.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, so that's his teammate there. I like his path better. Kind of got significantly better every year and dominated and transferred to just prove he could do it and then win the national championship. This guy, loyal, great. He was at Indiana the entire way, but it felt like it took him a long time to be relevant.
He was 961 and 13 last year, but 10 catches, 207 and 4 came in one game against Indiana State, which jettisoned all those numbers northward. We'll take a break and we'll get into some more names. It's time to talk about Denzel Boston. 6'4", 212. Denzel Boston out of Washington. 4 years in Washington. So we're going back-to-back loyal wide receivers here. Dominated man coverage. I believe the majority of his touchdowns came in that environment. But what were your reactions to the tape on Denzel Boston, another name we've seen go very, very high in mock drafts?
I am terrified of Denzel Boston because he is in the archetype of a player that I don't like.
Yeah, I am in the exact same boat.
Really?
Yeah.
We have not talked about this. He is the type of player who that type. Your success in college comes from being a bully. I mean, he's being humongous. He's a big dude.
Yeah,
and there's but you're a big dude. You're the BMOC, and then you go to the NFL, and you are no longer the big man on campus. Everyone is bigger than you. I don't gravitate towards that type of a player, and yet I really like Denzel Boston. I brought it up on the Dynasty show, Jay, but it was like your quote of talking about Xavier Legette of like, it's not gonna work. Don't pick him, but I'm gonna do it.
Right? Yeah.
That's how I feel about Denzel Boston. Of like my historical avoidance of these players has led me in the correct path most of the time, but I'm very drawn in to his play style.
Yeah, I mean, he's tall and he's tall and he's skinny. He had some incredible games, dominated some games. Unfortunately, I felt like he disappeared sometimes. I didn't go game by game to see the reasons why on whether they were winning or losing or up or down as I'm grinding the film. But I would agree with you that the archetype doesn't usually work. He is going to be highly drafted. He's going to be a first-round pick.
You want me to tell you a team?
Yeah.
I'll give you a couple teams to connect to the dots with Omar Cooper and
with Omar or Denzel.
Well, both.
Okay.
I was going to say I'm going to give you one for both. I want to just give you some because sometimes it just helps to put some teams to the name. Omar Cooper in this last mock I'm looking at went 26 to the Buffalo Bills.
Oh man.
And Denzel Boston went 27. The next pick to the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, man.
I would
Oh, man.
I would love the second. I would actually not like the first that much. I just feel like they'll
No,
turn him into
it's-
Khalil Shakir.
It's
It's funny because Cooper, you're like, oh, he reminds you of DJ Moore, so let's play together.
The Buffalo Bills is the siren that will always steer our fantasy ships into the rocks. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
They don't need to lean on one dude.
Right.
That's the thing. You can be worthy of it there, and they don't do it.
But Boston,
He's met with
like-
San Francisco, by the way.
his production profile is solid, especially because of touchdowns. Just a dominator there. But it's just can it translate to the next level? And his athletic testing, which we don't get carried away with athletic testing. It's fun when it's awesome, but his was pretty poor for a player that's going to be probably drafted in the first round.
Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Casey Concepcion,
Now we're talking.
junior out of Texas A&M.
Which is an ATM machine problem here. Because Casey is just his initials. So the C is Concepcion.
In the KC, and you want to point this out off the jump.
Yeah. So
we need to get it because his name is Kevin Concepcion.
Concepcion. Yes.
Casey.
Casey
Yeah.
Casey Kasem.
Yeah. It's like automatic teller machine.
Yes.
Top
40 hits.
This last mock I'm looking at has him going at 24 to your Cleveland Browns.
No.
Oh, man. Kyle.
They have picks all over
Kyle
the
get
place.
wrecked. Kyle loves Casey.
Kyle loves him. Yeah, out of Texas A&M, 6 foot, 196. Twitchiness galore.
He more reminds me of Burden if we're making that comp of like he gets open. He's handling press coverage pretty well. He is just an absolute menace. But also a menace are his hands as he drops a lot of passes. He has you see it every once in a while, just like the player who they can make the most redonkulous highlight, difficult level catch. You're like, that's incredible. That's a
And
top
this is
10
the easy
ESPN.
one.
And then the wide open layup, bink, right off the
Yeah.
hands. So he needs to get that under control. Drops, if you haven't been playing fantasy football for a long time, drops honestly are not a huge. It's not a really big, like Mike Evans has had drop problems in his Hall of Fame level career. So I'm not overly concerned about it. What is it? Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra led the NFL in drops this year. You can also drop more passes when you're getting targeted a bajillion
when
times.
you've established yourself, you can get away with it better.
But if it weren't for the drop problems, like I might have him in my top three.
Drops,
I think he is great.
Yeah, I mean, you just alluded to it, but drops really shouldn't be that big of a deal. There's something that is not a super sticky stat.
And they're concentration drops of maybe a coach can get in his head about it.
Yeah, I mean, the opposite of Omar Cooper here, this is a guy that I feel like I did see in the middle of the field a lot. I saw him,
he's all over the place,
as a much
man.
more complete
Returning
player.
punts.
Yeah, used on special teams a lot, which we love when someone is used on special teams. It shows that the coaching staff is like, they really need to have this player on the field in space because people can't get him.
He's not a universal first-round pick in mocks. I mean, I've seen a lot of them where he's just on the outskirts of the first round, first 5 picks of the second round. Our team's going to view him as a starting outside wide receiver. Are they going to view him as somebody that comes in? The best comparison I can make is the way teams can use Rashid Shaheed, where you're like, that guy's amazing, but you're also more gadget, you're more special teams. You're not necessarily looked on and relied upon to be your every down star. I guess I'm just curious if he's got to find the right connection with a team that believes in him for fantasy purposes to take the next level.
I think we're going to find a lot of the same going forward now that we're past the top 3 guys, which is essentially this is a good wide receiver. Whether he is a fantasy star, it's like a lot of these guys, you're hoping for a Christian Kirk type of fantasy career where it's like Christian Kirk has done really important things in fantasy. He's been a top 24 wide receiver. I think he was a top 12 wide receiver one year, which We forget.
Was he?
I think so. Vet
You're
me on that
throwing
one.
out wild accusations here, man.
Yeah. But he doesn't feel like it because he's never really.
He was
right?
in Jacksonville. That's right.
So that's like always my comp.
Yeah, he was a sleeper in the UDK that year.
Oh, well, you should get the, tell me more about this UDK, Mike. What does that stand for?
It's an ultimate draft kit.
Ultimate.
Jason.
That sounds like the ultimate draft kit. You should get it at ultimatedraftkit.com. But I think Casey Concepcion is a very good wide receiver.
You can call him Kevin if you want.
But he doesn't. He wants to be KC. Does he want to be KC, or is KC? Do we have to add on the Concepcion to make sure everyone knows that we're talking about it?
Oh, you're saying you can either go KC
Can we just go
or
KC?
You can go Kevin Concepcion.
What if the
Okay.
Chiefs draft him?
I don't want to not say
Man,
no.
Casey Concepcion.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
big
like Michael
problems.
Pittman in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Last 4 mock drafts, destinations: Cleveland, Buffalo, Miami at 30.
Oh, Miami would be perfect.
Cleveland.
Cleveland is going
Go
to
away.
Cleveland's going to ruin someone. This is where
Go away.
this is what I'm saying.
it's
You just
not-
hope, like Malachi Fields.
Yeah, he's perfect. Take him.
Yeah,
Perfect.
He's that archetype where he just
Yeah.
he's bigger bully ball, got older than all the little kids and bigger than all the little kids and just dominated. And it probably won't work in the NFL. And so it's like that. Look, Cleveland, he's
Yeah.
awesome.
They have a lot of fields in Ohio too.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
perfect. You got to have the name match where you're going.
Nowadays, it's the only way to succeed. All right, we'll move on. We got a couple of tight ends to talk about. So let me ask you this first, though. There's a lot of other wide receiver names. We obviously were not exhaustive. If you want to get into more names, you can listen to the Dynasty show to get deeper. Chris Bell, Jeremy Bernard out of Alabama, who's on the other end of a lot of Ty Simpson success. Malachi Fields, Zach Branch. Is there somebody you're in love with?
I really do like Elijah Surratt.
Okay.
That's the teammate
Do
in
you
Indiana.
know what I called him?
No.
I said, well, if he
Sriracha?
if he gets
Oh,
if he gets hot, in
If
the
he gets
league,
hot, sriracha sauce. Yeah, baby.
I promise he's never heard that.
No,
No,
we're
you
the
just made it
originators.
up.
Yeah.
you just. That's all you, Mike.
That is really good. I think he's good. Jeremy Bernard, the wide receiver from Alabama, is another one of those real solid, quality receivers that you're like probably not a fantasy star, but will be fantasy relevant.
And those are all names, like every name I just said, including Surratt, Skylar Bell, Ted Hurst. They're all in the top 82 projected picks.
Yeah, and that's great
Which is very
draft
high.
capital. That's a team being invested, saying we are having this player on the field from the beginning. And the truth is most of these players are legitimately good enough to be drafted there and be solid wide receiver 2s in the NFL and hopefully wide receiver 3+ in fantasy football. Last name I'll just throw out, Zachariah Branch is a very interesting.
The screen god?
Yeah.
He was like 50% of his targets are at the line of scrimmage.
This was like
No, thank you.
yeah, no, it's bad. He has absurd acceleration. His it's kind of like you don't want to you whisper the Tyreek Hill,
Right,
it's like,
yeah.
because he's not as he's smaller than Tyreek, but it's got that same level of like crazy
instant
burst,
acceleration.
So he will be very interesting. I'm curious where he goes, and people are very, very, very high on him and very, very, very out on him.
All right, we got to talk tight ends, guys. We got 2 names to bring up. Some teams looking for the tight end position. Miami, they're looking for everything, and they've got every pick. Tampa Bay, maybe. Carolina, the Eagles, we'll see. But let's talk about the cream of the crop. Kenyon Sadiq, junior out of Oregon. Just unbelievable. Ran a 4.39 at 6'3", 241. Let that sit.
Dude, I don't. What do we do with this guy?
You're talking about how he only had 560 yards?
Yes. Like this isn't Kyle Pitts production wise.
Right.
This is a Kyle Pitts athlete who 6'3", 240, which 240 is actually, I mean, that's
Save your production for the NFL. That's what I say.
It's a little lighter, but he ran a 4.39.
He is
that's not
physical freak
allowed.
of nature. A physical freak. You're talking not like he's better than all the other athletes. And he's going to be a top 15 pick in the NFL draft. That alone is kind of all you need to know. When you actually dig deeper and try to judge and find the yellow and red flags, you go, okay, well, he wasn't.
You don't have to dig very deep.
No,
man. It's right there, 560 yards.
His production profile is not like a lot of previous top-end prospects from recent years. Brock Bowers, Kyle Pitts, those guys. So it'll be interesting where he goes will make a difference as to the target pecking order that he can find himself in.
I got a team for you.
All right, who?
The last 4 mocks I've looked at, all the same spot.
Why don't you tell us the spot?
It's Tampa Bay at 15.
Okay.
In three of the last 4, and then one of them had Carolina at 19. Tampa Bay seems like the most I'm not excited spot possible because he can go there and make big, important plays on a regular basis and not necessarily be big for fantasy when they have the depth that they have at the wide receiver position, the re-signing of Cade Otton. What role is that player going to have? It just screams 400 yards and 5 touchdowns type of rookie season. Carolina, you start to get a little bit more interested personally because, man, Ted McMillan was really all alone in a lot of respects last year. They have some talent at wide receiver beyond him, but that's where you're kind of seeing. You're not seeing top 10 mock picks recently as much as you were maybe a month ago. Do you think he ends up in the top 10?
No, I think he's a
Top
middle
15-ish.
of the. He'll be 11 to 20, that range. I think in the draft. He's a very good prospect. You don't watch him and say that he did anything wrong. If he did anything wrong, maybe he blocks too well for us in fantasy football.
But
It's funny because
23 to the Eagles.
I
Seeing
genuinely
that as well.
I genuinely want. Yeah, I've seen him to the Rams as well.
I mean, if the Eagles jettison A.J. Brown, you need another weapon.
I want Stowers more than Sadiq, but I don't want to say that out loud because I feel so
I'm
stupid.
getting close to that. So Sadiq will be the only first round or other first round tight ends with a lower dominator rating than 21%. A dominator rating is a combination of the team's receiving yards and the team's receiving touchdowns, and it's a pretty strong indicator. Hence, them calling it the dominator rating. But the only guys with a lower than 21%, you have O.J. Howard. That did not work out. You have Hayden Hurst. That, for fantasy purposes, that did not work out. And then Kenyon Sadiq will join that list. And so he is so tantalizing of what he could become. If Kenyon Sadiq hits and everything clicks and he works in the NFL, he can dominate.
Yeah.
But
he's going to be drafted.
I struggle to see it happening.
And that's the toughest part about any of these rookie tight ends. We've obviously had massive production from rookie tight ends for years now.
Yeah.
The toughest part is like when you're drafted this high, it comes with a lot of expectation and a lot of game planning for you to be part of an offense. Like these guys are going to have opportunities. Whether they capitalize on it, whether it's as much as we want, that's still in question. The second tight end off the board to talk about is Eli Stowers,
yeah.
Who
the Stower of power.
I mean, the majority of mock drafts, the vast majority of mock drafts with Stowers have one destination in mind.
Give it to me.
The Denver Broncos.
Oh yeah.
Baby.
Oh, that's a joker.
That's a joker.
He went to college to play quarterback, guys.
Okay.
And then switcheroo. Joke's on you.
He's met with
I'm
Denver.
the tight end now.
Let me give you the numbers. 765 yards and 4 touchdowns last year. He is 6'4", 239, 23 years old, out of Vanderbilt.
And he's a wide receiver. I mean, he's a slot wide receiver. He's a route runner. He is a weapon for fantasy football. This is why I like him better. He's not going to be this guy that is constantly in line blocking. He's going to be used to catch the ball down the field and be a large target. That's what you want in fantasy football. He was the John Mackey Award winner. You look back at the last couple of years, that's been pretty good. Tyler Warren, Brock Bowers, Trey McBride. Stowers is also while his 40 did not come off, as
it's not Kenyon Sadiq 4.39.
Sadiq, because he was sub 4.4 at his size, which is outrageous and unheard of. I mean, there's been very few people in the history of the NFL that have done that. He got all the pub. But Stowers might have had the better combine.
Right.
He also
overall.
ran a faster 40 than Carnell Tate did.
Yeah,
Eli
he's
Stowers
super
was
fast.
at 4.51. Tate was at 4.53. This is what you said.
His speed score is outrageous. I think Kyle, maybe you know this one. I think he put up the second highest vert.
If Stowers goes to
in the
Denver,
history of the combine.
If Stowers goes to Denver, I'm going to try really hard to draft Bo Nix this year, because the addition of Waddle and Stowers with what they had on that offense,
Pat Bryant,
that seems really exciting.
Come on, guys.
Oh, Jason. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. No. Your first button was correct.
Oh man, you were like, you showed your 5'10" in that button pushing.
Oh man, I'm out of here.
5'9.5".
Well, let's not keep rounding.
Okay, so
back to back with Al right now.
So Stowers was the best by a tight end at the combine since 2003.
2003?
Yeah, a 43.5-inch vertical.
And yet Sadiq's going to go ahead of him. I mean, that's going to happen.
Well, because
the ceiling for a player with that athleticism in Sadiq, you can talk about the production. The ceiling for a player like that, they're going to look at that, and it's going to be pretty overwhelming.
And Stowers is still learning the position. Like he went to college as a quarterback, and then
you know who else switched from quarterback to tight end? Travis Kelce.
Oh,
yeah. So there you have.
Who was the quarterback for the Cardinals that switched?
Oh, that turned into Logan Thomas.
Yeah, Logan Thomas.
Just too late. If he did it earlier.
Seriously, he had a perfectly fine career
as a tight end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Stowers is a very impressive player.
Yes.
I think you're going to have – I mean, I hope we're talking about both guys in terms of fantasy rookie production.
I think we will.
We welcome all tight ends to the table in terms of contributing on fantasy football teams. So, some of the high-end comps, Mike Gesicki, Evan Ingram, he's not a blocker right now. Like you said, he's still evolving into the position. That can be an advantage. It could be a disadvantage, right? It just depends on the scheme fit that you find at the NFL level. But if he goes at the end of the first round, a team is drafting him, understanding what his strengths are, and you hope someone like Sean Payton puts him into a great position.
I mean, if there are teams that need wide receivers who the draft might just not fall that way. Take the Saints, right? Let's say they don't use the number 8 pick overall in the first round on a wide receiver, even though they need one, and most of the other guys that they would get are gone before their second-round pick. They've got a high second-round pick. If they draft him and don't get another wide receiver, that's like the type of landing spot where you come in and you can be the number 2 target in an offense, and teams can draft this guy because they were going after a wide receiver. The other they might just slot him in amongst their pass-catching targets and say he's the 4th best wide receiver.
All right, that is going to wrap up today's episode of the show, talking wide receivers and tight ends. If you enjoyed it and you want to listen to our conversations on the rookie quarterback prospects, the running back prospects, we covered all of that on the Tuesday episode of the Fantasy Footballers. You can click back on that episode and listen through. Next week, we're going to get into our biggest draft worries, some Foot Clan mailbag, some keep trade cut, and I'm sure we'll have news to talk about, so make sure you join us then. The Draft Kit's at ultimatedraftkit.com.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.